Hola mi gente, I'm Mariana Atencio. Welcome to another episode of the Mariana Atencio Show. Let me get comfortable over here because today we are diving into a topic that makes so many of us nervous. How to communicate clearly when you're put on the spot. For my Spanish speakers on here, cómo hablar improvisadamente aunque estés nervioso. And you know those moments. Someone asks you a tough question at work. You're called on without notice in a group setting. Mariana, ¿y tú qué opinas? What? Or you meet someone unexpectedly and you want to make a good impression. Even when I do live television where I look so secure, I know exactly how I'm starting and how I'm ending. So it may seem improvised, but it's really not. The improvised moments, you don't really have time to prepare. You have to think fast and act smart. So today, I'm going to share practical tools to help you handle those moments with clarity, calm, and confidence. And this video is so amazing because they're actually backed by science, by brain science. These tools that I'm going to share are inspired by the work of Stanford's Matt Abrahams. We're big fans of his here on the show, as well as backed by my own experiences in journalism, public speaking, and some of the biggest stages in the world. Are you ready to get started? Let's do this, mi gente. Section 1. Why? Why does spontaneous speaking feel so hard? So first, let's acknowledge this truth because we're here for the real talk. Spontaneous speaking is hard for everyone, not just you. And it's not because you're bad at it, and it's not because you are not smart or you weren't prepared enough. It's because your brain, this is the science, is actually wired to protect you. So when you're caught off guard, your amygdala, and that's the brain's fear center, it triggers a stress response. Your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for decision making for language, it goes offline. And that's why your mind goes blank. It's your brain trying to protect you. And you wish that your mouth would move synchronized with your brain, but it doesn't happen. Good news is that spontaneous speaking is a skill, not just a talent. And just like any skill, it can be trained. You can learn it with a few tools that will help you reset that nervous system and guide your words. Are you ready for section 2? 2. Shift your mindset from performing to contributing. So once again, we go back to the research from Stanford's Matt Abraham. He teaches us that the biggest shift we need to make is mental. It's moving from performing to contributing. And what do I mean by this? When you think that you have to perform, and I'm a total people pleaser, and what I do is performance-based. So believe me, I know. Your body tenses up and you feel the pressure to impress, to be perfect. And that puts your nervous system in anxiety mode. So when we reframe it to, I'm here to contribute, something powerful happens. Your anxiety decreases and your purpose becomes clear. Yo estoy aquí para aportar algo. Science backs this up, more science. Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck's research shows that this growth mindset, the belief that you're here to learn and to add value, helps, again, reduce stress and build this resilience under pressure that you need. So next time you're caught off guard, don't say, oh my God, I have to get this right, or I have to appear perfect. Just tell yourself, how can I be helpful? ¿Cómo puedo aportar algo aquí? And that's totally going to give you the pause and the calm you need to think about that response and to do it clearly. And as I talk in my authenticity work, and this is super important, the biggest enemy to all of this is this idea of perfection. We're adhering to this idea of what you think a successful person would have said, how they would have appeared in that moment, and that's not helpful in this scenario. So don't think about, I need to appear smart or perfect. Just think about, how can I contribute with what I have to say in this instance? And you're going to notice a change. Are you ready for the next step? Section 3, 3. Use a simple structure to stay organized. So once your mindset is grounded, you have that mindset of, I'm going to contribute here, you need a structure. Everyone does, especially in high pressure situations. So Stanford's Matt Abraham, once again, recommends the what, so what, now what. And that's a format that I actually use a ton to pitch stories. What is, so what's happening? So what? Why does it matter? Now what? What's the next step? So what's the story that you want to tell? And these frameworks are backed by cognitive psychology because your brain and your listener's brain, they process information better when it's organized into familiar patterns. It lowers what scientists call the cognitive load, the mental effort it takes to make sense of what is being said. And remember, our attention spans are so shortened right now. So don't wing it entirely. Use structure to simplify, to clarify, and sound like you've got it all together, even when you're thinking on your feet, because guess what? You do have it all together. And this idea of structure brings me back to my network television days, because the what, so what, now what is exactly how we are taught to organize scripts on television. So when you're talking about a story and why a story is important, this structure fits perfectly. What are you talking about? What's the news story? The so what is why do people care? And then now what is how you're going to move the story forward. Like, why am I turning on the television and paying attention to this on the 6 o'clock news? So the way that we're taught to deliver stories to the audience happens to be this way because it's organized and they can make sense of it and they retain it. And that's why I'm teaching it to you now in these simple tricks, so that when you're put on the spot, use that same structure to organize what you're going to say. Let's move on to the next step. Section 4. Master the power of the pause. Shut your mouth. And what do I mean by this? When you're nervous, our natural instinct is to fill every second with words. We get very anxious if nobody's saying anything, or when you're put on the spot, you feel that you need to respond immediately. The most powerful communicators use silence strategically. Research from UC Santa Barbara shows that pausing, even briefly, helps regulate the nervous system. It improves verbal fluency. You see what I did there? I feel more calm already. It also increases your perceived confidence and presence. So a short pause before speaking gives your brain time to organize and your audience time to absorb. So the next time you're put on the spot, breathe, smile, count 1, 2 in your head, and that pause should not feel awkward. It should feel intentional and strong. That's the mind shift that I need you to apply. And this is something that I learned anchoring live news, even doing live talk shows, which is really hard. I was on this talk show, The Talk on CBS, and everybody's sort of dying to chime in. And I find that the faster that you respond and the faster that you speak, the less gravitas that you appear to have. And by the way, from non-native English speakers or people who have strong accents, the less likely folks are to understand you. So on television, especially in the beginning when I was starting out, I tended to fill the silence with a lot of words, blah, 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 instead of being like, thank you so much, Lester Holt. Well, listen, I've been thinking about this, and this is blah, blah, blah. So with that pause, you can totally notice, again, the confidence and the strength that comes from speaking slowly and taking a few seconds to respond. You're not on a live television audition. And even for someone who has done live television, I'll tell you that pausing is so much better than filling the silence with words, especially if English is not your first language. Esto es especialmente bueno y funciona muy bien para aquellos cuyo primer idioma no es inglés. Cuenten 1, 2, sonrisa, piensen y respondan. Let's move on to the next step. Section 5, practice thinking out loud. And what do I mean by this? This is probably one of the most effective and most underrated habits. Practice thinking out loud. You don't need to sound perfect. You just need to stay engaged and sound natural. So research shows that when people verbalize their thought process using phrases like, and grab a pen and paper because this is something you should write down. Let me think this through. Or one way I see it is they are perceived as more thoughtful, relatable, and authentic. So I'm going to repeat that back to you guys for your next Zoom meeting, the next time you're put on the spot in a friend group. Let me think that through. One way I see it is So this is supported by what is called the transparency effect in psychology, the idea that people trust you more when they see how you arrive at your conclusions. So don't fear the messy middle. Invite your audience in. It builds connection and it shows confidence, not weakness. So, mi gente, to wrap, here is your science-backed cheat sheet for speaking on the spot. Here's a recap. 1, shift from performance to contribution because it resets your nerves. 2, use structured formats because they help your brain stay clear and organized. 3, pause and breathe. It calms the system down and signals confidence. And 4, think out loud. It builds trust and connection. These techniques aren't just smart. They're supported by research in neuroscience, psychology, and communication. We put a lot of thought into this video. And remember what I said, the goal isn't perfection, it's connection. You are more than enough. You already have the voice. You know what you're talking about, and now you have the tools. So if this video was helpful for you, if you want to share it with someone who you know struggles with this or wants to speak with more clarity and confidence, share this video with them. Subscribe to our channel. We're providing you guys with all sorts of useful information and tools because I want you to feel strengthened in your resolve to go out and do whatever it is you want to conquer in this world. Lo que quiero siempre es elevarlo, aportarles, así que si este video les pareció útil, lo quieren compartir con alguien que quiere mejorar su inglés o su delivery al hablar, compartan este video con ellos, suscríbanse al canal, siempre estamos haciendo todo nuestro esfuerzo por darles herramientas que les sean útiles. Thank you so much, mi gente, tú puedes. I'll see you guys very soon for another episode.